To begin, let's look at what OSA does to the body. In people with OSA, the tongue and soft tissues in the airway relax during sleep. When the tongue and tissue totally obstruct the airway, it prevents fresh air from reaching the lungs, despite efforts to breathe. The oxygen content in the blood goes down. The brain recognizes that there's a problem, and it briefly arouses the body from sleep, just enough to open the airway. It also stimulates the heart to beat faster and the blood vessels to constrict to send blood and oxygen to the vital organs. Regular breathing is restored, but the cycle repeats itself, sometimes up to 100 times a night. It's a dangerous cycle. The individual never receives restful sleep, and the nighttime stress on the cardiovascular system increases the risk for developing cardiovascular disorders over time. Untreated OSA puts people at increased risk for developing high blood pressure, heart disease, heart attack, and stroke.
When a sleep disorder is suspected, an overnight sleep study is conducted by a sleep specialist to determine the type and severity of the problem and the appropriate therapy. Sleep apnea is usually treated with positive airway pressure, or more commonly known by the acronym PAP, or PAP. PAP devices provide a gentle stream of air through a nasal mask to keep the airway open during sleep. Breathing becomes regular, and oxygen levels in the blood become normal. Restful sleep is restored, daytime symptoms are relieved, and health risks are reduced. Positive airway pressure is a safe and effective non-invasive therapy for OSA.
Well, to learn more about what it's like to live with OSA, we recently had a small group of people with sleep-disordered breathing problems pay a visit to our studio. I'd like to thank all of you for coming and sharing your experiences with OSA and PAP therapy. We'd like to welcome Lanita and Dave Myers, Raul Guevara, Dr. Matthew Abraham, Peggy Jennings, and Dee Stanley. What impact has PAP therapy had on your life?
You know, you have a problem when you're sitting in a car at a red light and the guy behind you is honking because you've fallen asleep at the red light.
I take public transportation, so I'm riding on the train, and I find myself that I was snoring really heavily. I would fall into this deep sleep, dreaming very, very vivid images, and then I would hear in the background the snoring, and I would wake up, and it would be me snoring. So I knew that there was something wrong there.
I'd come home from work, eat dinner, lay on the couch, and be asleep. I would sleep, if you added up in a day, I probably was sleeping or napping, 12, 14 hours a day if you counted all the naps in the evenings plus the, I'd wake up to go to bed, okay? Once I started using the therapy consistently, that all went away.
The impact of my life was a lot of things. I mean, I used to not be able to sleep in the same bed sometimes with my wife. I mean, I'd toss and I'd turn. We'd stay together for a little bit, but then she would get fed up because I was pulling the sheets off and waking her up and still in her sheets while I was there because I thought it was cold. I'd sweat. I'd have to go to the restroom. Numerous things. And also, during the day on the weekends, I mean, I'd fall asleep right after I woke up. I'd go back to bed for about 30 minutes. I'd go eat lunch. I'd take a nap. Before I'd go out at night, I'd take a nap again. And somewhere along the way, you realize something isn't right. And I mean, it just isn't normal.
You try to catch up on the weekend. Right. You know, say if you're not working Saturday, Saturday becomes a sleep catch-up day. And you end up sleeping 9 or 10 hours instead of 5 or 6 or 7. You feel worse, headache, tired. The more sleep you were trying to get, the more you felt you needed. And then by the end of the day, you were still tired.
And the anger actually built up early on because I was sleepless. He slept 8, 9 hours in my mind, and I was sleep deprived. And, then it became a problem. And I was pretty, I think, forceful in getting him to go forward with finding out what the problem was.
What happened when you were diagnosed?
It's the best thing that could have happened. It's the best thing that could have happened to me. I'm healthier. I feel better when I wake up in the morning. It's great. It's a feeling I haven't had in a long time. And I don't wake up tired. I don't wake up cranky. and, you know, I'm ready to do whatever I need to do for the day.
It changes him and us as a unit, that he has the ability now to actually have extra time to spend with us and doing activities, and he's much more active than he ever was prior to being on his sleep apnea machine.
It makes you a better father because you want to play with your kids. You've heard the stories about leave me alone, I just want to sleep, or go get a toy, I'll play with you later. And when you're not just wanting for sleep all the time, makes you a better father, makes you a better husband, makes you a better employee on the job. And then all of a sudden it's a good cycle that perpetuates itself. And then you realize, I think, that this is what normal life is supposed to be like and what you've been missing out all of that time.
I want to thank all of you for your comments. I'm sure that people with OSA are going to find them very, very helpful.